Hello, everybody. Super good morning, everyone. Kevin Chan here at 7:30 as usual in the morning, bringing you live another session on the topic of Chinese metaphysics. And today we're gonna take a look by borrowing BaZi. We're gonna talk a little bit about the collapse of empire, which is something that happened very often. So if you've seen what we call Chinese history before, Chinese got about 5,000 years of history, but most of its history is engulfed in empire going up, empire going down. They did great lah, right? So almost most of the what we call significant empire, it lasted more than 300 years. So we are talking about like the Han dynasty, right? So the Tang dynasty, the Song dynasty, Ming dynasty, Qing dynasty, all these like pretty big, pretty big dynasty. So of course, around the world also there are many empires, you want to call it, like Roman Empire, Persian Empire, right? So Aztec, all this also is really empire. But one thing in common happened to all of them. No matter how powerful they are, eventually they fall into crumble, right? So today we're gonna take a look at some of the sign of a empire failing, right? And then of course, from knowing this, you will start to know that why certain empire go up. So it is quite mirror the way that the things go, right? So okay, right? So Pak Pui is around, Peter Xia is around, it's around, Stuart is around, Eve is around, Chang is around. So how you guys all doing, right? So so far so good. Petrol price is going up already, right? So yeah, I know Malaysia is right now complaining that the RON 95, which is our affordable petrol, by the way, right? So it's going to go up by 60 cents today. Right? So yeah, right. So with the war there, continuing, yeah, petrol price is going to go up. You start to question, right? So like Malaysia is a petrol producing country. How come we are subjected to this? The main reason is because refinery, guys. Petroleum is petroleum. Every single country, the quality of petroleum is different. So you need specific, or refinery is basically specifically built for that particular grade of crude oil. You want to call it petroleum, right? So we don't process that level of crude oil. Right, so which means that the crude oil that we took out from our oil reserve, we don't have any facility to process that. Right, so for you to process that, we need to specifically build facility. So a lot of country also is like that. So most country has the facility to process the crude oil that is produced from the Middle East. So they are all different quality. Even US crude oil is very difficult to process. Their crude oil is very thick. So their facility is not designed to process that. And if you right now only you start to design facility to process that oil, is a bit too late, right? So that's basically the reason. It's not really that crude oil is what we call not available. It's plentifully available around. It's the facility to do the processing which is not available. Yeah, no, but why don't you build the facility? Again, by the time right now you start building the facility, until the facility is okay to jalan, right? Too late already. Okay, right, so that's the news information for you. Okay, come, let me shrink down to the smaller version today, right? So, and take a look at the fall of an empire topic today, right? So, like usual, getting in touch with me, Telegram, need any consultation, help, or whatever that, you require, this is the channel. So, if I have anything to announce, I will throw into this particular channel. So, if you want to get updated with whatever that is happening around me, Telegram would be a good place for you to hang around with, right? So, or you want a written version of most of the thing that I'm doing, if I got time to convert it into a written version. So you can go to the what we call your newsletter, right? So it's an email service, by the way. You put your email in, then anything that's published from this particular platform will email to you, so that you don't have to go and find it. Right, so right now, of course, the monthly forecast confirm is going to be in here. I am supposed to write some excursion that I've been to, but always forget. I will write one today. I'll write one and publish one today. Right, or else it will never be done. Right, so then you got the what we call the giving community, which is the fan-based community, right? So if you are an early practitioner or even a seasoned practitioner who want to contribute a little bit to the practicing sphere, right? So this is the community for you to join, right? So you come in, you can ask any question that you like. There will be other practitioners here that will be able to assist you, right? So now you can basically do that. So right now I am posting a lot of the notebook LM infographic from whatever video that I've done, right? So the video I've done, I throw into notebook LM, they convert into infographic, I'll just post it inside. So if you guys like infographic, it's a good place for you to go there and download, or you want to share some infographic to people, it's all inside there. Right, so come, let's go in, right? So anyway, this is now I'm going to use the BaZi behind it, right? So then you can basically use BaZi. For you to access your BaZi, you can go to this particular website, which is Typing Astro, is the website that I'm doing. I don't own the website, I don't program the website, this is just basically a friend of mine who like to do programming, so he has one of these platforms, so I uses his platform, that's it, that's all. Yeah, right? So if there's anything that you want to ask about the website, some people want to collaborate. You ask me, no use, I have no access to this, right? So straight away go and find the owner of this particular website, and you can do your collaboration with them, right? But anyway, right? So you print your BaZi chart, right? So then you can take a look at the bottom part, which is the summary. Right, so a lot of you cannot read the BaZi, of course, that one is given very normal. So what it did is that it uses certain rules to convert your BaZi chart into this particular graphic. So this graphic only tells you your BaZi chart elemental tendency, that's it. Right, after doing a bit of analyzing using whatever rule that they apply, and don't ask me what rule that they apply, I also don't know, but it is just a reference point for you. So you can see that, hey, which element is the most overwhelming element or the least element inside here. So when you look at this, then you know your general tendency, right? So the higher that particular element, you are more naturally gravitated towards that particular direction. That's all. It is not a sign of good or not a sign of bad. Alright, so the less that particular energy is, which means it is certain things that if given any opportunity, you would drop that thing first. Understand? It is not that you're not good at this thing. It is just that you would drop the thing first. Right? You just imagine if this is a sporting event, and then there's a lot of sporting equipment. If there's anything happen, tell you that okay, you can grab one sporting equipment and run. You will grab the one that you are most familiar with, correct or not? Right? So that's called natural gravitation. Right, so if you are a skateboarder, chances of you grabbing a skateboard and run is very high. If you are a tennis player, chances of you grabbing a tennis racket is very high. It doesn't mean that that is good for the situation or bad for the situation. No, it doesn't tell you anything like that. Understand? Right, so we are taking this as a reference point, so that when you take a look at it, at least you know that, I have this sort of tendency, and I know this sort of tendency is gonna gravitate towards this sort of action. Right, so once you understand that, it's easy for you to control. So that is the only reason why we are doing this. Right, so we are not trying to take a look at your BaZi chart. Oh, this is good, you got a lot of this is good, less of this is bad. No. Right, what this one usually tells you is that under what circumstance does people value you. Right, everybody will be valued in certain sphere. Right, so the key is very easy. Find the sphere whereby you are being valued and plant yourself into that sphere. That's it, done. Right, then you will be a success person. Right, so this is called, if you know that you're a fish, you have all the fish tendency, you got all the fish equipment, please go find water. Don't go and find a tree and climb trying to pretend to be a monkey. If you're a monkey, then please don't go and find water and try to swim like a fish. It doesn't work. Make sense? Can easy. Now just go and take a look at it, right? So because we will be discussing this based on the 5 separate direction that's basically going. So you can see that when you use this, the elemental tendency is being compared against your day master. So again, this is technical. If you don't understand, it's fine. Just read this, right? So, and then you will see things like companion, output, wealth, influence, resources, right? So that is in comparison to that particular element, the interaction, right? So those are just naming convention. If you do not know, you just pretend that they are logo, right? So yeah, just pretend that they are logo if you do not know what it is, right? So then, we can go into the entire idea of discussion, right? So now, so you have seen now, we have read has history. I'm sure every one of you have, you know, studied history before, you know, or even listened to tall tale. There are many empires, right? So for us in China, it's called dynasty, by the way, right? So yeah, right. So it's many empire, many dynasty. If you read their story, you will see that they all gone through this particular period of great prosperity, right? They usually start in crumbles, then slowly build, you know, over generation, pass down over generation, then they reach a certain point, then it crumbles. And usually the crumble is really fast, very fast crumble. So of course, you know, if you have been following me along, you would be very familiar with this particular word called heaven mandate, right? So now, when the empire crumbles, this is where it lost its heaven mandate. Then it is said that, you know, the people is supposed to organize a rebellion to push away the olden regime and then to build a new regime. And the funny thing about it, you know, because again, China have a much longer intact history. You start to see that every single empire start the same, progress the same, fall the same. And they are like storyline templates. So if you understand the storyline templates, the question is are you able to, you know, stop this from going back, right? So if you're reflecting on yourself, right, you would also go through all these 5 things in your life. Then you start to take a look at, are your life crumbling or not? It's applicable, right? It's basically applicable, you know, to everybody who's trying to do this. So you take a look at your life and see whether you are doing this sort of stuff or not. If you're doing this sort of stuff, now this is where awareness kick in. I acknowledge that I'm actually currently doing this sort of stuff right now, so that I need to change, right? So hello Joseph, how is USA going? How much is your petrol right now? How much is your per gallon, right? There is a lot of joke right now out there, you know, it's saying that, you know, hey, you know, I got 20 liter of unleaded petrol, you know, I would like to exchange my unleaded petrol with a house, with a pool. Right, so they're telling you that the petrol right now is more expensive than anything else which is out there. But anyway, okay, right? So this is going to be the situation, right? So, but anyway, for those of you who are having a bit of an anxiety, right? So, enjoy it for another 2, maybe 3 more months, right? So whatever it is, horse month is going to be the month that gonna, you know, peak everything, right? So then after horse month is a very prolonged 1.5 repairing year. Right, so you wanna say it's the you know, plateau, you know. So, yeah, okay, right, so it's gonna be like that. So sorry to say, can't really do much changes, right? Okay, come, let's go in and take a look at, you know, what are the signs, what are the smell, right? You are confused nowadays. Right. It's okay you're in Florida, that side. Other than Venezuela, Cuba can launch missile onto your side. Right, no one else can launch anything. Come, let's go in and take a look in. First sign, right? So we're gonna go by sequence, right? So don't want to jump around. So let's take a look at it, right? So now if you take a look at your puzzle chart, you'll find that your puzzle chart either your EGHO, which is basically labeled as output, right? So it's either EG or HO. So of course, keep in mind, is there difference between EG and HO? Yes, there's a big difference between EG and HO, but for this particular session, no, we are not going to go too deep on the separation of EG and herding officer. We're going to generally take a look at output. So if either your output is too high or either your output is very low one, this may be gonna become your problem. All right. maybe the empire only pretended to fall to escape prison. Right. So now later at the end, later at the end, I will offer a little bit of insights into talking about, you know, generally US and what does Donald Trump may be thinking of doing, right? So they're actually doing a few things there, you know. It is not non-strategical. It's just that the part that is not very strategical is that they didn't expect that the other party is willing to go all the way, right? So they call this a asymmetric response. But anyway, doesn't matter. First, go back to this one first, right? So go back to this one. You know, if your output is too high, if you see that it is one of the highest, or it is too low, if you see that this is very low, like for me, my output is basically 0, 1. So this one may be an issue that I need to address, but not a very difficult issue. Right, so this one is problem is what we call complacency. More specifically is the stoppage of innovation. Right, so now this one, the example, if you want, you can go and read the Persian history. Right, so you can go and grab, or right now very easy, you chat GPT, you Gemini, you Grok, you Claude. Right, whichever that it is, right? So you're gonna use that. You will see that when a country stop having innovation, so which means that they have stopped progressing, or they stop to have vision, or they stop to see the future, right? So stop to see the future, you will see that they start to crumble. Right, so this one is, I think, is very self-explanatory, because if you stop concentrating on the future, your entire empire stop moving. Right, stop moving, right? So they don't see the innovative part of things, right? So now giving a what we call the need to innovate, right? So the need to innovate, right? So innovation is a process when you have certain problem that you need to solve, right? So if there's no problem for you to solve, there's actually no innovation. Right, so you guys know that output, the EG and hurting officer star is in charge of creativity, right? So they are the one that think of stuff when there's nothing to think of. This is their natural way of thinking. So now you can start to see, right, if an EG or hurting officer, right, so suddenly stop thinking of new stuff, stop, like hurting officers suddenly stop creating problem. The fella is in a big problem. Correct or not? You start to understand that if certain people behave suddenly in a very different manner from their natural behavior, like you will start to see that there must be a huge problem that's basically happening around them that is causing all of this. Right, so natural tendency, if you see that your EG and hurting officer is very high, so which means that you are a very natural, innovative person. EG HO high person, usually they are more on the positive side, right? Which means that they are very progressive. They are always thinking about the future, right? So of course, for general folk like us, you look at them, you may say that these people are a bit crazy, a bit sort, always think of stuff that probably doesn't exist, or you want to say that they're very dreamy, imaginative, right? So but when a country, when an empire, is, you want to say, too big, right? So and then especially when they are too ego of themselves, right? So when they're too ego of themselves, right? So that is also one of the problems that EG and hurting officer have. They usually, people with EG and hurting officer has a little bit of ego issue, especially hurting officer, by the way. EG also have ego issue. I just say EG don't tell you, or they don't show you their ego. Hurting officer, got no qualm showing you their ego. So that's the only difference. Both are egoistic. It's just the one they keep it to themselves. Another one, is like EG is quietly looking down on you. Like hurting officer is openly commenting on you. What's the difference? I don't know. One maybe make you feel better. I don't know. But at the same time, they are also, they don't highly regard you. They regard themselves a bit more higher. Right? So that proudness. Right, so when they stop innovation, right? So when innovation stop, you will see that the empire start to crumble. It's not moving forward. It's not carrying people forward. So now instead of this, right, you will see that the progression of any empire after the collapse, the initial part of it usually progress much more faster, because what? That is the time whereby everybody come together and trying to solve the problem or the shit that has been created by the previous leadership, you want to call it, right? So whatever it is, because they want crumble already, right? Crumble already, everything reset back to zero. So this is where innovation thrive, right? Because there's a lot of problem that is created by the previous owner, previous leadership, that the current group of people coming in, they will try to solve the problem. So you can see that this part is where innovation start to come, and you see that the new empire start to grow again, because they start to innovate again. This one stop innovating already, right? So they think that they're gray, ego, basically everything is there, right? So they stop innovating already, done, right? So now same thing with you. If you gone into a stage whereby, you know, you have no future plan. As in, you know, it's like, you know, do whatever, so it's not interesting, you know, there's nothing to drive you forward. So a lot of time when we say that, you know, you have stopped being passionate, right? So yeah, output also basically is controlling this passionate part of you. Right, so people with very high output, very high, you know, when we talk about being idealistic, a lot of time is that they do things, they don't really think of money, right? So they don't do things, they do things based on ideal, right? So when you talk about an innovation, right? Innovation is a very money draining activity, because, you know, when you want to innovate, there's going to be a lot of failure, right? So what signify innovation is basically, you know, failure. So that's why innovation thrive after massive failure. Right, so you will start to see this basically happening, right? So now you take a look at it, you know, from all the particular country that you know, which are the country that is currently still innovating. So you see China has only progressed into today's technological advancement for the probably last 40 years. You see, again, China got 5,000 years worth of history with multiple repeat of failure, right? But the entire country is still intact, which is very amazing. So which means that they have installed certain good foundation, right? So then only for the past 40 years that it has progressed. And the reason why it has progressed is, again, a lot of time they have gone into really great failure. Like, for example, you know, the what we call telecommunication advancement, it was because, you know, a lot of sanction was put onto them. They got no choice to survive. They have to innovate, right? Yeah, you know, because they have to innovate themselves out of the problem. Like, for example, you know, the very well-known one is that the US go and shut down China's GPS, right? So because, you know, they were trying to inspect one of the ship and China don't allow them, they shut it off. That ship was drifting in the ocean for, like, you know, almost a week, right? So then thereafter, China said that, you know, this will never happen. They developed their own Beidou satellite system. Right, they don't need US GPS anymore, right? So they don't use any US system anymore, right? So same thing with a lot of innovation, you are forced to go so that's why you can see that, you know, China certainly progress very well, right? So now would China go into a stage whereby, you know, they have stopped progressing? You need to take a look at, you know, is there anything that threatened them, that required progression, like current the energy cut off, right? So the oil, right? So this will basically, again, it will push China into a state whereby it will start to develop alternative, right? So like the landlocked, what we call it, right? So the China only got one side of the sea that they can access, and that side is basically upper side blocked by Japan, lower side blocked by Philippines, and the central lane blocked by Taiwan. Right, so which means that, you know, why China must take back Taiwan is because, you know, Taiwan, again, is blocking China from going out. That makes sense, right? So that's why you can see that the China suddenly start to build the One Belt One Road so that it can access the other sea. It has a land system to access the other sea, access the Black Sea side, Black Sea, access the Mediterranean Sea, Indian Ocean, you know, so all those kind of things. The One Belt One Road is designed to do that. So these are called innovation when you find that there is a massive problem. Right? So when a country stop innovating, so they are at the right. So now ask yourself, do you have a future that you're looking forward to? It's pretty simple. Right, so now people who doesn't have EG and herding officer, usually they don't, it's not that they don't see the future, okay? They place very little importance in the future. They are usually more pragmatic, practical, but this also make you into a very boring person, right? You try to talk future to this particular fellow, it doesn't connect. No connection. It doesn't connect. Right? So, you know, it's like, no, it'll be, fellow will be a bit more on the pragmatic, and, you know, now, you know, what when that thing, you know, happen first, right? That is called, you know, very low EG, very low hurting officer, right? So, you know, then if you're a very high one, you know, you're probably a bit too idealistic, right? So, you know, that's why I say that everything, you know, you need to be in a very balanced sense. Right, so now you see, if you don't have, or you are too high, then, you know, you understand already it's time for you to do adjustment, right? But you cannot be completely ignoring this. Okay, right. So first point, let's take a look. You know, you can take a look at US, you can take a look at Russia, you can take a look at China, whether that they are still continue with innovation, or you know they have completely stopped the entire innovation cycle. Right. So like right now, you see that the what we call the tech industry, especially the AI side, which is the most innovative side. Right. So we just come up with the thing. Right. So that's why you see that the progression in the the IT line. Right, so previous when the what we call the real estate was in the stage of growing, you can see that real estate is very innovative. They came out with a lot of different product, you know, the technology in building technology, right? So become, you know, really very great. You know, there's a lot of way to build a building, a lot of way to, you know, do a bit of building. Like right now, the entire thing stopped innovating already. You know, you can see that it went south. Right. So now ask yourself first, are you still innovating? Or are you in a complacent, oh no, this is good enough for me, you know, you don't have any progression anymore. Find something to progress towards, right? So number 2, right? So money, right? So, you know, money, right? You like to say money, right? So in natural sense, again, we have repeat this money. It got nothing to do with money. It got nothing to do with money. It's basically effort. Wealth start is effort start. Right, so again, the energy signature of wealth is that you attack. You attack means that you are trying to exert ownership. Right, so when we talk about wealth, it's actually ownership energy, the energy of effort, you know, the energy of exertion into the thing. It has nothing to do with money, but money is the easiest of us for us to understand in terms of result. So that's why a lot of time it go to money, right? So not like, you know, why this one is Spanish. Do you know that Spanish has the most amount of silver? Spanish Empire does not have a money issue. They are sitting on the most amount of silver. But why does the Spanish Empire still collapse? Because they didn't do anything with the silver. Their biggest mistake was they were sitting on the silver. Right? So now money has no value if it's not flowing. If it's not flowing, means that it is not being used in exchange for actual usable wealth. Right? So now this one is very easy. This one is specifically for those people who bank account got a lot of money. And the money is not being used for anything at all. It's just sitting there. But I invest my money, and a lot of company, I tell you, you invest the money, right? It is also not being used for anything. Right. So now this one you can see is basically the facility, building of facility. Right. So again, once the empire crumble, when the empire crumble, a lot of the facility basically is destroyed. A lot of facility is basically being destroyed. So they have to start to rebuild everything. So when you want to rebuild all of this, money is the form that basically come in right now is to pay everybody for their effort. You need to buy the material, Now, these are all real stuff that money is purchasing, right? So which is actually called real wealth, right? So real wealth. And you know, you build, right? So which means that, you know, if you build a road, now everybody can use the road to right now generate money. Right, if you build the what we call the electricity line, right? So these are basically called infrastructural facilities. Then, you know, people can use the electricity to produce things and, you know, to do stuff. You build school there, you know, you can educate the local people into the level that's required to be hired by the business. Yeah, right. So these are called infrastructural facility that's being built, right? So now your money right now, is it sitting in a bank account doing absolutely nothing, right? So, or are you using the money right now in purchasing of actual stuff that helps you in further building your wealth? Like buying equipment, right? So like buying, you know, camera equipment, buying this equipment, these are things that you're going to use, right? So you're going to use to generate more money, right? Your money sitting around does nothing on. So Spanish, their problem is that they are sitting on the silver, and the silver is not being used for anything at all. They got a lot of silver. Up until today, right? Up until today, Spain still have the world's biggest silver mine around. And so Spain don't have any problem with silver, but the silver is not being converted, it's not being used to build facility is to build infrastructure that basically assists. So now, same thing right now, if you take a look at, you know, all the major country, are the government using the money, all right, so to go, like for example, the US government, this one confirmed already, one US government, they have not been using the money for infrastructure development in the country for a very long time. Many times is that when they print money, they spent it on the share market. Yeah, I know the US share market has been artificially sustained for the longest ever time, right? So where, you know, every single time the US Treasury print money, they throw it into the share market, right? The government throw the money into the share market, which is a complete waste instead of actual doing infrastructure development. For Malaysia also, I'm going to tell you, you know, we are, whatever the government do, right? So then we go and build all those stupid mega project, you know, one tower higher than another tower, and then you can see that the occupation rate in the particular tower is shit low one. Like the entire tower, no one uses, right? Because why? It is not useful. So you want to put into infrastructure whereby it is useful. As many people as possible is able to use, aka depreciate that particular infrastructure into creating more wealth, instead of just for eco inflation or, you know, just sitting there, right? So now we got three very big tower that we have, right? So now we got the KLCC, now we have the 118, and then we have the another one is what, TRX, right? So we got these three particular tower, which is complete waste of money, right? So I always say that, you know, Malaysia has potential of creating at least 3 separate Singapore. One Penang, one Johor, one KL. We can actually create 3 Singapore by very easily just copy whatever policy that Singapore has. We have the easiest job, you know, easiest job. Singapore do what? We just copy. Done. Then we can have 3 Singapore in Malaysia. But no. Okay, right? So too bad lah. Too bad lah. The leadership, you know, is later we'll talk about one of the problem, right? So now just tell you, no, so if you currently sit down and look at your bank account got money, but you are not using the money into facilitating further actual growth. You are not buying thing that is actually useful. Now got money, buy handbag also not much of a use. I just tell you first, right? So, you know, like recently very hot one is the Balenciaga plastic bag, 1,700 US. Right? You buy that for what? You tell me. Other than telling people that, you know how to waste money, right? So, you know, yeah, use the money, you know, go buy some facility, buy gold. You need to ask first, gold got used or not first. So actual consumption. If you're buying something that got no actual consumption, also is not much of a use. Okay. You need to think of that, right? So because last time why gold is useful, because gold is the tying down asset for whatever money, paper money, right? So you guys know that the first creation of paper money is to ease the transportation of this stupid precious metal. So instead of carrying 1 kilo of gold to somewhere else and pay the fella, you know, I put this 1 kilo of gold into a bank. The bank give me a piece of paper confirming that there's 1 kilo of gold deposited here. You go to the other side, which is their branch bank, and then you give this piece of paper telling them that, okay, you know, you can redeem this from here. So instead of transporting the gold you yourself, I just transfer a piece of paper for redemption. That is where money comes from. So every creation of the piece of money, there is gold tied behind it. That is called consumption. Right now in the world, there's no such money. So keeping gold, unless it's being consumed, right? Silver is better because why? Silver is being used a lot in technology. They actually meet the silver in making technology. Yes, so silver is actually much better, right? So silver is a lot, right? So that's why rare earth, rare metal, rare mineral, these are all the mineral that's required for the production of your forever very lovely iPhone. Yes, right? So yeah, silver, medical equipment, those are called consumption. So if you have certain material that actually drive consumption, that they really need to consume it, that is fine if you buy that, right? So a long time ago, it was salt. Before money become it was salt. right? So salt was one of the biggest commodity. Then of course we discover how to make salt after that. So today is not really that, right? So yeah, I know. One day we'll talk about salt. Now, by the way, now, so if you are wealth star very high like me, right? Your wealth star is super low. If your wealth star is super low, your problem is that you look down on money. Right, so you waste effort, maybe it's actually not called waste effort. You probably do not really know how to evaluate effort. Probably that would probably be the thing. Right, so now again, don't have wealth doesn't mean that you're not hardworking. You're hardworking a lot of time on things that doesn't have value. When your wealth quotient is very low, right? You do not know how to assess value, right? So of course, when the wealth quotient is too high, then you place too much importance on whether this particular activity is gonna give me the return or not. You become very money faced. Right? But anyway, if this is either too high or too low, then you pay attention to how you are currently treating wealth thing. Are you building infrastructure for yourself? Right? So building infrastructure for yourself means that whatever profession that you're in that is basically used to generate money, are you currently right now spending or investing into the exact things that help you basically to generate money itself? Right, so if you're into marketing, are you taking the money and go and actually learn marketing from better marketing people? Right, ask yourself that particular question. I used to not care about money. Now I care. Hi IW, by the way, right? So good lah, right? So you have to lah, right? So wealth star very high, impatient. Yes, correct. Wealth star very high is very impatient. Right, so the impatient part basically come from this when you wealth star is very high, right? When you do something, it tend to get done faster. So when somebody else does it, compared to you, it becomes slow. This is where the impatient comes in. It is not really that you are impatient. It's just that you know that the particular task can be done within what type of time frame, and you don't understand why the stupid bugger takes so long to do it. That is where the impatient come in, by the way. It's because you know how to do the thing. If you do not know how to do the thing, then there's no such thing as impatient. Right? You've done it before, ma. You've done it before, last time we do it, it was a 2-day job. Right now, already the 4th day, why results still not here? So whatever the idiot things that the other party is telling you, right, it's complete bullshit because why you have done it. Right? The problem with working with wealth star people is a lot of time the task has already been done by the wealth star people. So it's very difficult to bullshit a wealth star person because I've done it before. Right? So if it's certain thing that I cannot do one, right, it's very easy to talk to wealth star people. Because what I cannot do, then you win. But if I can do, you die. Very, very simple, right? So now take a look at it, right? So now let's take a look at most of the whatever country who is sitting on a lot of money. US, no? The US is basically sitting on a lot of money, and their money is basically not very useful, right? So they are so much in debt right now. Right? So there are no shortage of US currency in the world. The world is not in shortage of US currency, and right now the US currency is this one you can go in, right? So the biggest use of US currency is actually tied to petroleum, because if you want to buy petroleum from the Arab country, you need to use USD to buy it. You can see so US is basically consumed in the entire area of purchasing the crude oil, and the crude oil is being consumed by everybody in electricity power generation. So you can see that there is a direct consumption line there. It is being consumed, right? So that's why if this one is not being touched, then it's fine. So US dollar will always be preferred money, right? So it's always being consumed to buy petrol. The petrol is always being consumed in terms of electricity generation. Right, so now is whether the electricity generated is producing enough US dollar to continue the entire cycle of consumption. So if the cycle of consumption is going, the money is flowing, then everything is fine. So now you can see that US is not very happy because Iraq is selling petroleum to other country by not using US dollar. So they are pretty pissed off with them. Okay, right. So this is one of the reasons, why the doesn't have any wealth element in his chart. Yeah, the fella doesn't have any wealth element in his. Then later we talk about his problem. Okay. Right. So that this is the thing. So you go and monitor yourself, like if your wealth star is very high, wealth star is doing, you ask yourself right now, are you over keeping the money? Like for example, wealth star very low person, right? They usually overly holding on to money, right? Usually, right? Right. So now you can take a look at this, right? So whether you are, right? So ask yourself, whether the money that you have earned, is it being used to facilitate your own personal movement or growth? Or are you just, getting money and just keeping it into a bank account and, you call that safety? Right? So there's really no safety. Saving above a certain amount of threshold, it becomes useless. Tell you first. All right. So, like above, like for example, if you're what we call liquid saving, if it's more than 6 months of your expenses, anything above that is not much of a use already. Right. So even investment, you should only go so far with it. Right. So because why the main problem with investment is that you have zero control. Right. So like like right now, when the market tank, right, all your investment basically go to smoke. Right. So it's already a lot of people who are invested in things like BlackRock, all those big major fund. Right now the major funds say that you cannot withdraw money from their trust. You cannot. Their limit, they tell you that you cannot withdraw. So how? Your money right now stuck, man. But Iran avoided selling her oil in USD. Okay, come next one. Now this is what it is, right? So being involved in war and fighting, right? So you guys know influence star is the energy that's attacking you, right? It's basically representing threats, right? So and it measured an ability of a person to resist, survive threat level. Right, so that's why this one a lot of time is associated with, you want to call it nicely, leadership, aggression is basically under this. So you want to measure a person level of aggression, you can measure the person via the level of influence star that they have. The higher the influence star, the chances of this particular person being aggressive, stand their ground, right? So now one side aggressive is when you attack people. When people attack you, it's called you are standing your ground. Okay, whatever it is, right? So it's measured doing this one. So is it useful? Yes. But this particular energy is only useful or is significantly very useful during chaotic time. During peaceful time, this one become very troublemaking. Right? So I don't understand how to use an market scary than meet well star guy. Okay, right. So this particular thing you take a look. Right. So now a lot of empire fall because they over gone into war. It's usually war that basically trigger the entire collapse. Usually, right? So, like for example, very poignant one of the dynasty in China, right? Song Dynasty. Song Dynasty actually did not actually involve in any war. No, Song Dynasty did not. Song Dynasty, among all the dynasty inside China, is the weakest in terms of military. Military-wise, Song Dynasty is the weakest. And even today, if you take a look at some of the country which is very prosperous, you say they're very peaceful, happen to be country that does not have an army, aka New Zealand. New Zealand got zero army. There is also a few that is in Europe that does not have any army. They got zero army. Right, so they have no military or war allocation, and it's very expensive, like the US war that triggered, right? So first few days, I think first 4 days, they burned through about $5 billion. And then you have seen some already say that please love the what we call environment, and don't use plastic straw, right? So like right now you buy thing, you shouldn't be using plastic bag. Hey, you talk to the 4 billion people, the fella who spent 4 billion in doing rubbish, how many plastic bag can the fella save with 4 billion? Right? Or even worse, for the longest, you will see that, these children in this country impoverish, right? So if you put 10 USD in there, you'll be able to, sustain their survivability for the next 1 month. 4 billion, you divide and see how long can they survive. And then, you're asking us to, help them, you go ask that fellow to help them, right? So the fellow can burn through $4 billion, nothing. Right? So try. Luxembourg also got no army, right? So like this sort of country is very peaceful, very peaceful, very prosperous, like this, you know, nothing. You don't even see a lot of crime there. Exact opposite, right? So same thing, Han Dynasty also got two of the emperor is basically very staunch Buddhist plan. Very staunch Taoists, right? So very staunch Taoists. So Taoists, what we call, they believe in this I think called Wu Wei. Wu Wei means do nothing. You know, let the people do what they exactly do that. They, you know, let the people, you know, run the place. You know, you run your business. I don't get involved with you. I don't interfere with you. And these two emperor happen to accumulate the most amount of wealth, right? So which is all being spent by Han Wuti. That's why the wealth never passed 3 generations. Han Wuti was the 3rd generation. Right? He really squandered every single thing inside the royal bank into financing war, right? So overextend finance war, right? So this one is basically the French, right? So what happened to the French is that they were involved in World War One. Right, so they were involved in World War One, and World War One, they were the big player, right? In World War One, French was actually the big player, so they have overextended the entire thingy, right? So, and you know, when the war ended, they end up in a very bad financial state. War, you have to pay money, right? You think the soldiers, you know, is gonna go to war because of, you know, ideal? No. Right, so no, all this, then suddenly after a certain while, then World War Two come. So they have involved in World War One, which make them lost a lot of money already. Then World War Two come, they further gone into the war again, right? So by the end of World War Two, they have already squandered all the whatever wealth and money that they have inside their country. That, you know, the empire basically just was the second after the Qing dynasty. Yes, the Han dynasty was the second dynasty after the Qing dynasty. Then after the Han dynasty is the Three Kingdom. I've just tell you the, you know, the what we call the famous one. In between, you know, there are Sui, there are all the small one, right? So all the small one only. Then after that, it was the Three Kingdom longest ever again. Right, again, those are longest ever mean like 500 years kind of thingy. Then, you know, you have the Tang dynasty, right? So which is another 400 years. Then you got the, you know, so again, after Tang dynasty, there's a short period of, you know, craziness where the Mongol, is it the Mongol? I think the Mongol came in. Then after that was Song dynasty, right? So then after that, it was again another period of, you know, cluster war happening. Then after that, you got the Ming dynasty, right? So Ming dynasty is after the Sui dynasty, I think I'm not wrong, right? So then after that is the Qing dynasty. Then bye. Then it's today China. Right? So it's actually, the history is pretty, the dynasty, because each of the dynasty take out like, you know, 300-400 years. So it's actually not very long, right? So yeah, interesting. China is recent. Back to this one. So, you know, they were involved in too many wars. Right? So like, you know, again, go back to US right now. What were they involved in? Many. Right? So where does it, now this is the part I can tell you, right? So now one thing that the US is doing, right, is actually part of what they're trying to do is that by initiating this particular war, right, it is a live showcase of their product. US is one of the biggest military producer. They are the one of the biggest military seller, right? So yeah, right? So cell weapon is actually one of US produced. Yeah, it's one of the product in US, right? So the what we call the military machine, the military industrial complex, right? So military industrial complex. Right, so, you know, they, you know, go into doing this, right? So yeah, you know, so the launching of the whatever Tomahawk, Patriot, whatever it is an actual showcase. So after they have launched all these things, right, two things that every single country would consider is, you know, where to buy military equipment that can counter this sort of missile attack. Make sense? Right? So, where can I buy this missile to shoot other people? And both sides, the answer is US. Correct or not? Right? So you can see, they're actually creating market for themselves. It's a showcase. It's a showcase of, you know, product. It's one of the best product showcase. Also, you know, one of it is the BYD for not a very good reason, right? So because a lot of missile went there, right? So bam, 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 and then they found that one BID was intact. Yeah, one BYD car was intact after being shelled by the bomb, and the people who was inside the car survived. Oh my god. Suddenly, I don't know, BID become a tank. Right? Yeah, it become famous. So, if you want to buy any car at all in the war zone, there was also one, I think, forgot, I think one of the truck, that was shot by RPG, right? So you guys got to see, RPG shoot there, and then boom, again, it's one of China car. Palm on it, the car just drove off. The RPG exploded under the car, and then the car did a bit of a jump, and then it go. Either the RPG is not very good, not very greatly made, or the car is really very tanky. Right, just wondering, right, was the last dynasty, the Qing dynasty, originally Manchu? Yes, correct. The Qing dynasty was originally Manchu people, right? Manchurian. Not Han people, Manchurian. So China got two periods whereby one is ruled by the Mongol, which is a Kublai Khan, and then next is the Manchurian. Right, so next is the basically Manchurian. So they were conquered 2 times by foreigner, but the amazing thing is that the foreigner actually turned themselves into Chinese instead of trying to turn the country into a foreign country. Unlike British, and then British gonna come whack me. But anyway, right? So over in extension. Now this one for yourself is that if your DO7 killing is a bit too high or too low, are you picking fight? Now when we talk about picking fight, it's not literally fighting certain things that is human. Not that. It could be picking fight with the environment. So you already know that this environment is toxic, is not good. You still stay in the particular. Well, a lot of people is like that one. Right? So that particular company is toxic, no good, you still stay there. So you try to fight everybody, it's like, yeah. Right. So take everything. If you're good, take everything, go somewhere else. That's it. Don't fighting, again, fighting is a very, very resource intensive thing. So you see 4 day, $4-5 billion is gone. How much can you do with this $4-5 billion? You tell me. Now suddenly, every single thing that you tell everybody, conserve energy. Turn off your light when you go out of your house. Bullshit lah. People can burn 4 billion like that. And you're asking me to, save, So it's like, save plastic bag. One fighter jet, you ask how much fuel it burns. You launch one fighter jet out there, you know how much plastic bag you can buy and use. Right, and all this money, you see, all this money is being used in, again, innovation into really how to solve the plastic pollution problem. 4 day you can use 4 billion bucks. Right? What plastic problem you cannot solve, you tell me. If you really take all this money and then you put it into plastic recycling usage research, right? 4 billion bucks, 4 days, Tell me. Why cannot? Now you start to see why empire collapsed, right? So you're going to do all this stupid stuff, participating in war, right? So like this particular thing, right? Whichever country that doesn't participate, conserve their resources, right? So let them fight, right? Let them basically fight, okay? Right? Let them fight, let them, waste all the, right? So like right now, US has wasted so much of their missile. I don't think they have enough missile to protect themselves. Right, you get to see, right? So you should lah, right? So the tactic Iran is doing right now is to, I'm gonna make you waste money more than me, right? So in terms of military might, I cannot fight you, right? So your technology is better, whatever it is better, but in terms of money, right? I can use a 10,000 baht cheap drone to take down your $1 million missile. Good exchange, ma. Right, that's best way, right? So by the way, the Sun Tzu Art of War is actually a balance sheet book. It tells you how to fight a war cheapest. Yes. Right, that's why they tell you, Sun Tzu Art of War tell you, don't fight. Don't fight is the cheapest. It's not because it's a good military tactic, it's cheapest. Right, so the faster you are able to exhaust the other party's resources, which war require a lot, right? So the higher chances for you to win. Makes sense. That's the entire Sun Tzu Art of War. It's basically a balance sheet of battle. They tell you, which is the cheapest way of, so that's why using spy is the cheapest. instead of actually marching through, because 5 unit got one. Anyway, continue. So next one, resources, right? So again, poor resource management. Now this have to do with, again, overextension of, you know, trying to maintain certain thing. This one very famous is British, right? British, one of the biggest conquering empire ever biggest conquering empire. Even until right now, British own the most amount of land in the world. The entire Australia is owned by British. Yes. Yeah, all the land is basically owned by Queen. Yay! Right. So because of this, right, can a British Empire actually protect their own land? They can't. They cannot. Right. So if they go and protect their own land, they're basically just wasting. They spread everything too thick. Right. So and then all these kind of things. Right. So this is very low. Right. So take a look if your resource star, right? So if your resource star very high, are you spread too thin in terms of one of the signature characteristic of resource star person, this is not bad, they are very caring. They are very caring, they like to spend time understanding other people. Right? So now when you're caring for 2% is very easy, but when you're caring for 50 is different. Understand, right? Understand the difference. You are trying to like resource person. The resource person usually a very peace loving one. Usually very, very peace loving. So when the peace loving mean that I try not to offend this guy. I also try not to offend this guy, right? And not the Queen, the Rockefeller. Yes and no lah, but the land title is all written belong to the Queen. Right? Yeah. It's not good, right? So yeah, Rockefeller is a thing that is after that, right? So that's again later, then Rockefeller later. Right, so back to this particular thing, right? So like resource people, they try to care about this guy, try to care about that guy, they try to be nice, they try to be peaceful with everybody, it's very tiring doing that. Right? It's very tiring doing that, right? So it's very poma, right? So it's again, it is not a bad thing, right? So now if you translate back to this, right? So now you got one colony here, one colony there, that colony here, that colony there. This colony asks for help, that colony needs that. You got so many, you got so many people, things, and to ship all over the places to do, man. Cannot, right? So that's why British lost all their colony after some time. Right, and if there's any rebellion that happened at that particular place, right, they're gonna lose the place because why? Cannot go and support. Right, so this one Chinese said long-term poverty very difficult for you to take care of. Right, so like certain people, so if they are on emergency require your assistance, very easy. Right, so and if you are somebody who is long-term requiring other leeches. Right, leeches, Australia will call you bludger. Right, so yeah, right. So if you are a leech, if you are a bludger, please look for a resource star person. They are usually pretty sucker. Sorry to say, right. So again, it is because of your over compassion, over caring of other people. That's basically what resource star is. Right, so same thing also. When we talk about resource star in terms of knowledge. If you are going to learn certain thing, it's gonna easy. But if you learn too many things, it's gonna be very difficult. Everybody also got a capacity in learning. No one can knows everything, right? But everybody can know something. Correct or not? So if you're trying to having too much, right? So also one of the problem with resource star is that I want to confirm here first. Maybe ask this particular person, know this, know that. If you do all that, right? No need to do anything now. Right, so that's why wealth star clashes with resource star is because again, wealth star, it's like, you want to do this thing, come, let's go and do. Let's go and try it out, right? So see die, no die. Well, resource star, no, let's look at the situation first, let's research this, let's discover that. Of course, wealth star gonna slap the hell out of you, lah. Right, so you see, resource star is definitely slower than wealth star. Again, in comparison, not right, not wrong one, right, not right, not wrong. So like for example, wealth stars, resource star say that this particular place got tiger. The wealth star may not believe because the wealth star don't care about previous thingy. So let the wealth star go and find the tiger. I don't know, right? So it's those are situations. So if your resource star is very high, ask yourself, are you overextend, you know, resource management, you know, all the resources that you are having, is it over scattered all over the places? Right, so now, you know, let's talk about, you know, US, you know, China, are they overextending? So US is going into, you know, now US don't have any colony outside, right? So like right now, you know, if the US is trying to protect all the facility, are they overextending resources? Right, so that's why I say that, you know, right now there is the country that's not participating right now, it is having a gain. Correct? No, like China is not participating. You fight, Russia don't care. By the way, Russia right now is the best time to hit Ukraine as hard as possible if Russia really want to win. Because right now, no one will come and rescue Ukraine. Ukraine right now got zero rescue. No one have the time, no one have the resource, no one have the care. Yes, correct. Malaysia also have this problem, right? Own self problem also haven't settled, you know, try to, you know, step the foot on other people. Yeah, and so Malaysia also have this, you know, not as bad lah, not as bad, right? So, you know, Malaysia problem is a bit of a different problem, right? So come, let's go into the last one. Last one, this one also is very apparent, right? It's called internal decay or corruption, right? Internal decay, you know, corruption, you know, all this kind of stuff, right? So it's basically, this is very apparent in many, and personally first, if your companion star is very high one, right? So now this one very normal, is the people that you're with is empowering you or disempowering you, right? This confirm almost every. We Malaysia got a lot of this, right? Unfortunately. And for the longest ever time, right? So this one is the people around you are not people who are contributing to the development of things. You got too many people which is inside the system who just want to take and they are not giving. Right? It's that kind of situation which is inside, right? So it's basically this sort of, you know, so it's everyone for themselves, you know, they are just trying to protect their own interests. Same thing in China, right? So the corruption, you know, when the country is going up, you know, then you got more and more corrupt official. Corrupt official mean that, you know, instead of collecting tax and then give it back to the empire, they collect the tax and they keep it themselves. I don't know, this is the essence of corruption. Because last time is the empire is really big, right? You cannot ask the emperor to go and collect on his own, right? So they will ask other people. So initially, when it started that time again, you know, when it started that time, by the way, you know, the rebuild of the country always start like this. Is the new ruler will say that I will zero off whatever debt that you have, because the debt is with previous empire, right? So they owe a lot of money to the previous empire or owe to the previous nobility, right? So the new ruler would say that, you know, we can solve all of these things, because why? The old nobility has nothing to do with him, right? So and then you know, you offend the old nobility, you already lost power already, right? So I don't kill you, you are already very fortunate, right? Correct? You know, so they will take all this particular land and whatever it is, they tell you that, you know, whatever you owe them, you know, is no more, right? And then I will assign this particular land back to you. So this land right now is yours, you can develop the land. So once you give the land back to the people, right, for amazing thing that the people will run the land that belong to them very nicely, right? So then the rule or the catch is certain percentage of whatever you produce, you give it back to me lah. Good deal, correct? So initially when this particular happened, then, you know, I will appoint somebody around here as the governor to govern the place, and he will represent me to collect this thing. So, you know, one guy will basically maybe take care of, let's say, 50 family, right? So 50 family, give them, you know, the things, right? So, you know, yeah. Right, so, you know, you take care of this, so you will be the representative, you will collect the, you know, it's called taxes, right? So you collect it and then you will pass it back down. Initially, everything is fine. Right? Initially, everything is fine, you know, you know, they'll produce, so you see that the things all goes up. And then the government will take all this money and then do facility development, right? So try to build the waterway for plantation, build road for, you know, easy transportation trade, especially river management, so that the river, when it flood that time, they can control all this flooding, you know, all these kind of things. All this development is actually being done by the money that's being paid, and the people see all this development. I pay you a certain amount of money, so paying tax has never been a problem to anybody. But when I pay the tax, the money is being used for other stupid stuff, I got a problem. Can see or not? So if you pay the money and then the government is using this for facility development, let's say, you know, for education, to ensure that everybody, you know, get fair and, you know, good education level, you have no problem. Right? So that's why, you know, Chinese people are very good at donating to school, because they see that the school actually produce good people, especially those schools that produce good people, Chinese school. The alumni always come back, you know, they help the school, blah, 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 because the school is doing a good job in producing new good people. So, you know, my effort put inside, my money put inside is giving me a very good return in terms of developing the next generation. So no Chinese has any problem donating to school. Right, you see, right? So, but you know, when the money is given to the government did not develop the school system correctly. So how? Right, they did not develop the road system correctly. They did not develop the energy system correctly. You know, it's all this money is not being put into infrastructural development. Rather, you know, you go and build a tall building that nobody uses. What's the point? A $1 billion building, you know, and then the common people are not able to use it. It just look good, no? Right, so can see Malaysia, a lot of this sort of, you know, dumb stuff. Right, so that, again, personally, for you, your companion star a bit too high or companion star a bit too low, right? So like companion star too low mean that you do not know how to leverage on the people around you. Companion star low doesn't mean you got no friend. A lot of people interpretation very wrong. They think, oh, companion star very low, the fella don't have friend. No, the fella actually have friend one. But the fella does not know how to use. I don't know if your companion star is high or your companion star is a little bit low side. You need to be careful of that. Right? Cool. Right? So not very difficult. Right? So not very difficult to take a look at this. So all five, you go and make a bit of an assessment of yourself. Which one is that is a sign, right? So then, you know, if your influence star is too high, too low, then, you know, are you participating in certain fight that you are not supposed to be involved in? Right, so, you know, are you doing that? Then, you know, if your resource star is a bit high one, are you overextending yourself in terms of trying to maintain other people's peacefulness? Right? Or if your companion star is too high, check your social, what we call circle. Check your social circle. Do you have too many people that is not very useful in your social circle that's actually draining you? Or are you having a social circle that is not being used in a proper manner? Ask yourself that particular question, right? So in terms of country, now again, you can take a look. Right? So US also is the same thing, right? So like this one of the sign is having too big of a bureaucratics to maintain, right? Yeah, you know, so this one is my friend, you know, my friend come, you know, and again, right? So in the normal China dynasty, this one is to appoint too many of your relative as position. So they do not know how to run a state. They do not know how to run a country. They just sit there and waste resources. Right? So do you have friends who just sit there and waste your resource? Got people just, you know, are time waster in your group. Right? Because why? Those people make you feel comfortable, you know, they are able to make you feel like you are inclusive, but just waste time on it. You're just wasting time on it. Right? Instead of using the time to, you know, do useful stuff, right? So go and check yourself this. So see which one is basically the problem. Right, so right now the fire is very high. You take a look at fire is what? Like for me, you know, my fire is very high. Probably I'm sitting on too much money. Is that a bad thing? Could probably be, right? So maybe a lot of opportunity that I can leverage on, I'm not leveraging on it. Don't know. Right, so because fire is my well star, right? So whoever that has run water, kui water this year, you know, could you have too much effort that is not going into the correct places? Right, so interesting to see that the evolution cycle of a society can be associated with Chinese metaphysics as a right, so this is basically, so now you can do a bit of analysis, you know, on your country, you know, Right, so now you can right now on country, right? Please do not use the Independence Day of the country. Use your leader. Just use your leader. Right. So yeah. Right. So you can right now see Donald Trump. Right. So to take a look, right? So like Donald Trump, now the biggest problem probably for him is that you know that his chart is all Earth. It's probably this companion issue. Right. Probably it's this companion issue. Is that too many rubbish around him? Yeah, he's a businessman. Right? He's a businessman, you know, he has a lot of business partner. Right? So he's actually doing a lot of this thing like, you know, tanking the share market, you know. So when the share market go like shit, right? Do you think who will go in to buy? His friend. Right? Right? His friend would have already moved the money, you know, somewhere else, right? So like right now, he's really trying very hard to tank the US dollar. Because why? A lot of debt is in US dollar. I tank the US dollar, right? Then I got a lot of useless US dollar that can be used to pay debt. I pay you with, you know, the idea is very simple. I make gold, let's say that I make gold price go up, right? So that you know I owe you 10,000 baht. Let's just hypothetical, I owe you 10,000 US dollar, right? So then I buy gold, right? So I buy gold, or I ask somebody else to buy gold, then I push the gold market up. Right, so now the gold is right now one gold for, you know, let's say 10,000 US dollars. So right now I give you the gold. Right, I give you the gold, right? So now it's 10,000 US dollar. I give you the gold. So I paid your debt already, lah. Then I collapse back the thing, and then I buy back the gold at a lower, let's say 5,000 US dollar. Right, so you see, right now I got my gold, and I also paid you your debt. This is what they are trying to do. They've done that many rounds, by the way. They've done that many rounds, but this time doesn't seem to be working because the rest of the world, you know, don't play their game. Right? Especially like places like China. China is not playing this kind of game with you anymore. Yes, correct. You know, lots of cronies. Malaysia got this problem. Right? Especially during the Yi Wood period. Yi Wood is our ex-prime minister. Anyway, right, so this is the sharing for today, a bit lengthy for today, right? So you guys, right? So now I see, hope that you guys are a bit more interested in terms of analyzing a BaZi situation, and through a BaZi situation, you can see that you can actually understand quite a lot of things that is happening around you just to study BaZi. So once you are stable with the conceptualization of this, it's very easy for you to take a look at a person and then say that, okay, right, so at this stage of your life, with the things that you are telling me right now, seems like you are going through this problem. Now you understand that this is the problem. Can you fix it? It's very easy to fix. You know, if I tell you that you got a companion issue right now, is go and do an audit on your companion. That's it, done. Finish, right? So go and do an audit on your companion. You will start to find that, yes, I'm having this store issue, then fix it. As in, you know, kick as many idiots away from your circle and keep your circle tight. Right? So that would balance back the entire thing. Make sense, huh? Cool. Right? So take care of yourself, guys. See you all. Bye.